sees the memes of production, and the like and subscribe button. What would have to happen for this to become a global recession? Dude, I think that already happened. I think the global recession already happened. I think we're literally, look at the global markets right now. I'm sorry, Vaush, the sweatpants are just not it. Well-dressed older gentlemen used to wear dress shirts and ties along with a wide variety of outfits, not just trousers. They would wear them with nightgowns. They would walk around their house with a dress shirt and tie on with a nightgown over it so they could wear the same basic fit and it would be comfortable and they could wear that because people didn't have interior heating back then. And you motherfuckers lounge around your house in underwear and an oversized t-shirt from Uniqlo all day. I don't want to hear it. Okay, I'm sorry. That's not relevant to the broader point. It's not germane to the broader collapse of the global economy thing. Can somebody get me, I always forget what site it is. The site that shows you the squares, but for countries, not for individual companies. I literally always blank on this every time. Can you show me? Because I want to look at the red. I want to see the red. You know, it's the red squares we all know and love, but like the version of that page, Thana, I don't know what I'd do without you. Okay, so this is for companies, and we're seeing the consequence of all that rebounding right here. See, like we've got a mixed, a very mixed field, a lot of green, a lot of red, and I really, really, really think this is from people like trying desperately to buy the dip. One of the reasons why the biggest fluctuations that we're seeing are in tech companies like NASDAQ, you know, Google, Meta, Amazon, Nvidia, you know. I think it's because these are stocks that tend to attract the most aggressive, you know, the aggressive day traders, essentially. Yeah, 30 minutes for a multi-trillion-dollar flip in the S&P 500 is, when was the last time this happened? Not for there to be a fluctuation this big, but for there to be an up and down, or a down and up, I guess. This is insane. Look at this. This is in 30 minutes. 1010 ET over to 1040 ET right over here. What the f? Dead cat bounce. That's a funny term. And it's all from one guy with a Twitter rumor. You know that people lost and like literally, like overall in the market, trillions of dollars from one guy making up a tweet. I wonder if anyone's going to sue him. Like, there have got to be people who are out for blood right now. The people who are out for blood are idiots for buying in on a rumor that meaningful, but like it was from Reuters, but Reuters was sourcing CNBC and CNBC was sourcing that one tweet. Might actually be the most expensive tweet in history. Yeah, he deleted it. That's not going to stop people from tracking it. What's the one tweet? We talked about it a second ago, but there was one guy who lied and said the Trump administration was reportedly considering a 90-day freeze on tariffs, and all the people who have been like clutching their hands together praying, please let this all be a big ploy from Trump, please let this all be a big ploy from Trump, please let this all be a big ploy from Trump, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, please. Like, all those people were like, yes! And bought back in for trillions of dollars, and then all that got wiped out immediately when it turned out that it was a fake tweet. Did he have the blue check mark? You know it. Like all misleading information on twitter.com.x.com. Yes. Did he just want to troll the market? I don't know, maybe he's just an idiot. People, you know, people just like lie for attention on Twitter now that you get like $5 for every viral tweet. I think he was buying the dip, then forcing it up, then cashing out. I genuinely do not think he was trying, because I don't think anyone could reasonably predict that one fake tweet would lead to the greatest market fluctuation in history. I don't think anyone could reasonably expect that. That's like, this is like chaos theory shit. I don't think anyone would plan for that. I think that person just wanted to get like 1,000 likes, 200 comments, you know, like, I don't know. Oh boy. News service that falsely reported a possible 90-day tariff break blames Twitter. Yeah, that sounds about right. Then why the f did you report on it, you goddamn vultures? Oh, they're mad. A company called Benzinga carried the headline. Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett says Trump is considering a 90-day pause in tariffs for all countries except China. According to what appears to be a screenshot of the headline posted to Blue Sky, but their only source was that one fake tweet. Benzinga. Curious. Anyway. So how do we world? Here we go. Take a look at that. Look at the Chinese market, man. That is grim. Look at that. Not the Baba. India's down. I saw worse numbers from Taiwan. I'm actually surprised to see they're not worse here. Look at the UK, man. Yeesh. Switzerland, Belgium, France, Germany. It's pretty bad all around. We are seeing pretty rapid fluctuations. Click the one-day performance and change to 1 week. Yeah. Well, we're looking at today, but if we go to 1 week... Done. Yeah. If we go to 1 week... Man, to the rest of the world... You can't let America do this to you, man. You can't let America do this. You have to destroy us. Can you imagine if a complete retard took power in China? Honestly, the thought is terrifying. I hope Xi Jinping lives forever. He's evil, but at least he's smart. He's evil, but he's nowhere near as evil as Putin, but he's also definitely smarter than Putin. Or at the very least, he has different goals. But let's be real, is this the way that billionaires plan on taking over the world? I mean, they kind of already have taken over the world. I still think this is just a desire to essentially turn America into Russia. I still think that the broader aim here, the broader idea is like, we don't like democracy, we don't want democracy, and it's great that rich people in America are very, very, very wealthy, but what matters more is that they be completely impervious to the law. Like, they need to be on a different level beyond just what wealth can buy them in a democratic society. I don't know, man. S&P 500 is up now, though. Don't know what caused it. No. That's to be expected, I think. We're seeing all these fluctuations today. Yeah, here's the S&P. All the big six except for Apple are up. Wait, all the big six? Am I forgetting one? Meta, Google, Amazon, Nvidia. Oh no, Microsoft is completely level. Then Apple is down. Yeah, people want to buy the dip. This feels less like malice, but more incredible incompetence. I mean, it's often a mix of both, you know? It's a complicated and robust dynamic, you know? I like your suit, Vaush, but beige, you can never be president like that. Ah, but it's not a suit. It's a sport jacket. You can tell from the fact that it's a little bit shorter and the casual cloth from which it is cut, along with a few other details, like the stitching along the edge of the lapel. That sounds gay. Yeah. Jesus. I can't stop looking at this shit, man. Do you think we'd be better off if America balkanized? No. Definitely not. I'm more of a one world government kind of guy, personally. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the seesawing of the market is way worse than it just going down, no? It's not worse, necessarily. It kind of depends. It's difficult to know. A stable decline is probably better than wild whiplashing, because whenever the market goes up and down, it's not the same people making and losing money, right? Like, the people who bought in at the dip may have made money, but the people who sold at the top did not. Like, it's not the same people necessarily. So there are people losing a lot of money here. A slow and steady decline is at least stable, and people get, like, predictable outcomes. This is what's causing people to, like, flop sweat and white knuckle their goddamn, you know, portfolio manila envelopes and contemplate jumping from the 30th floor window over in New York or whatever. Like, this causes panic beyond a steady decline. But it's also not as, like, potentially bad as a steady decline. I don't know. We're kind of in unprecedented territory. Last night, I stayed up late trying to do some reading on stock market behavior back in 2008, 2020, 2008, 87, and of course the Great Depression. The Great Depression, it doesn't track as well because that was a totally different kind of world, basically, but I wanted to get, like, a better idea of how these things tend to pan out, and my understanding, based on what I read, is that, like, no one knows. Like, no, there's not really, like, a precedent for this. It's the first time that we've had essentially a recession caused by the president hitting the recession button. Like, my entire life arguing politics, I've had to be like, you do know the president doesn't have a button that lowers gas prices, right? And for the first time, I'm like, well, the president actually does have a big red button that causes a recession, apparently. I guess I just didn't think anyone would bother to press it, but he does have it. I don't know. How's the volatility index doing? Well, funnily enough, the volatility in the market has led to volatility in the VIX. You would expect, because VIX is meant to measure volatility, that would be skyrocketing from market volatility, but in practice, it's not really about volatility and more about how pessimistic people are about the market. So it's hovering around here. Right now, it's pretty much exactly where it was at last close. Oh, 44 is still incredibly high, and I still think this is a cope period. Dave Portnoy stole your meme? No! What the f***? I titled a stream that. Should have copyrighted it. What was the logic behind giving the president unilateral power to impose tariffs? Well, the retards who designed our balance of powers were basically like, everyone is going to be a Harvard law graduate, and everyone is going to go to the Skull and Bones Club or whatever. Everyone is going to be like a genteel and civil you know, high society man, so no one will ever lie. And also, no one will ever do anything that's too wacky. And also, if ever we need to do something wacky, like the president will never abuse emergency powers. You're right, Skull and Bones is Yale, whatever. Yale, Harvard, whatever. But like, essentially, yeah. Yeah, no one ever thought, like, what happens if evil, stupid, dishonest idiots took power? Honestly, like, genuinely, nobody, liberals don't have an answer to this, I don't think. EU trade ministers near agreement on first round of retaliatory tariffs against US. Yes! Bring it in! Trade ministers meeting in Luxembourg neared agreement on a list of US goods to target in response to the recent US decision to impose tariffs on steel and aluminum. But a second round designed to reply to the blanket 20% tariffs on other imports from the bloc and a flat rate of 25% on cars remains under debate. Bring it on! The first round of countermeasures, which are expected to be adopted on Wednesday, is likely to include U.S. products such as bourbon whiskey, though this inclusion remains moot, particularly after threats from Trump to impose 200% tariffs on European wines and spirits if whiskey remains on the list. Don't be a... France, Italy, and Spain led calls in the past weeks to remove whiskey from the retaliatory measures to avoid escalating tensions with the U.S. Don't be a... Come on! Second wave of tariffs set for May 15th. Well, there's the EU. Trump is threatening to add an additive 50% tariffs on China if China does not get rid of its retaliatory 34% tariff, which is pretty funny. This would be like a cumulative, what, like 104% tariff on China, which is basically like apocalyptic. I don't know. China only has until tomorrow to remove the retaliatory tariffs, which they're definitely not going to do. So I don't know, man. Buy your Temu, Shein, Alibaba now, I guess. Do you think Democrats should tell the rest of the world to retaliate so we lose? Nah, I don't think that, like, as a politician, most voters would get on board with, like, Canada, fire your missiles at us, we're ready to be liberated rhetoric. As fun as it is for me, and I stand by it, I don't think the voters would like that. I've actually seen some Democrats being, like, hedging their language on tariffs, which is making me really angry. Like, there are some Democrats who are like, tariffs have some limited use or whatever because I don't know, maybe they don't want to, like, get gotcha'd with the fact that Biden kept a lot of Trump's tariffs from the first term, which was stupid, by the way. Biden was a cuck when it came to tariffs, by the way. The tariffs that he continued and then placed on Chinese vehicles, just another limp dick effort to protect our shitty overpriced vehicles. Like, if China was importing their cars, we would have high quality electric vehicles for so much less than what we get from other companies, other countries. Those tariffs were wretched. Even Tim Walz is hedging on tariffs, by the way. Yeah, it's really not good. Just like, genuinely another, I don't know. Bernie Sanders did the same thing. This is not a time to like, use your goddamn heads, people. You really want to start hedging your language on tariffs now when they're about to bankrupt the country? Like, every American is about to see a rocketing increase in their day-to-day costs because of tariffs, and you want to point at that and go, well, tariffs have some use. Why not be militantly anti-tariff, which is good policy anyway? Tariffs are just bad policy. Across the board. It's not even like a lefty thing or whatever. Protectionism is just economically bad. It's a bad system. It's just like, even as like a red-blooded communist, you should be anti-tariff. In this respect, you should be pro-free trade. Unironically, tariffs are literally just bad policy. Wasn't this what Rick Sanchez did to the galactic government when he changed the currency from a 1 to a 0, then crashed the whole system? That's a very funny comment. You are getting punished for it. For an hour mute, though. That is very funny. I appreciate that. That was like a nice refresh. Yeah, thank you for finding the video that I was trying to search for on my other monitor. This, I'm gonna say really mean stuff if I don't control myself.
Chris DeLuzio here from Western Pennsylvania, proud son of the Rust Belt. And I think a wrong for decades consensus in Washington on free trade's been a race to the bottom. It's hollowed out our industrial power, cost us good jobs. The president's tariff announcement, though, and his trade strategy has been chaotic. It's been inconsistent. We should not treat our economic allies, like Canada, the same as trade cheats like communist China.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. What are you doing? Why are you... This is the same thing that Democrats did with immigration and the wall, where they went from being anti the wall to making fun of Trump for not finishing the wall to saying, well, yeah, we're willing to approve more funding for the wall. Trade cheat. By trade cheats, he means their government subsidizes their industries, which we definitely don't do over here, by the way.
I do not want to see corporations use the cover of these tariffs to now price gouge families. Tariffs are a powerful tool. They can be used strategically or they can be misused.
This, again, like, this is a wrong-headed effort to appeal to, like, Midwestern Rust Belt factory workers, of which there are, like, 5. Seriously, do you have any idea how few people there are left in this country who have manufacturing jobs? Like, as a proportion of the whole? Like, you could run a campaign entirely based on targeting baristas and win over way better than trying to target, like, factory and steel workers. The reason the Rust Belt is called the Rust Belt is because it rusted over like 50 years ago. That's the point.
They've got to be used in sectors that make sense. They've got to be paired with real, meaningful industrial policies, pro-worker policies.
Again, like, none of this is about being pro-worker. Tariffs are not pro-worker. This is about protecting American car companies. I've talked about this before, and I'm not going to belabor the point now, but for those of you who are unaware, American cars are exorbitantly expensive and obscenely poorly built. Like, for the price that we pay for them, they are incredibly bad at what they do, and there's a reason why other countries don't buy them. They're also way too big, and the only reason they size them up is to charge you more for them. You know how we all make fun of the Cybertruck for being an objectively terrible vehicle? Every American car is the Cybertruck relative to other vehicles. Like, it's just a different level. Like, the Cybertruck is to our vehicles what our vehicles are to other vehicles. And in order to protect our car companies, Biden and Trump both placed tariffs on Chinese car companies. Massive ones. Biden's tariff, 100% on Chinese electric vehicles. Why? Well, they made up a reason. Chinese spyware. The Chinese government's going to spy on you. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure Xi Jinping is very interested in the, like, the path that a Minnesota mom takes to pick up groceries twice a week or something. What the f*** are you talking about? What the f*** do you mean? That was unironically the propaganda they ran with. That China's going to spy on everything. As though we're not getting spied on all the time by our phones, by the way. By the way, when your phone is off, try saying in front of it, like, comfortable armchair, I want a comfortable armchair, and then open up, like, Amazon or Google or something and see how that goes, okay? It's always listening. I remember when you guys gave me shit for saying that, and then it was proven that that happens. I remember. It was proven. Anyway, it's a wrong-headed effort to try to disingenuously appeal to a very small subset of workers with policies that won't help them.
I'm talking about tax incentives to juice American manufacturing. Get those
tax incentives for domestic manufacturing. That sounds like what the Chinese government does that you called them a trade cheat for.
Supply chains back home to go after corporate price gouging and stock buybacks and better protections for workers to have the freedom to form and join a union. We've got to get a better trade approach in this country, and we've got to put workers and American families at the heart of it.
Oh yeah, I bet you're going to go after stock buybacks, man. That's so true. That's definitely something. That's one. I bet the Democrats are unified in that belief. The average American doesn't even know what a stock buyback is. Yeah, that was quite the message, huh? That wasn't a random rep. That was the House Democrats. Of all the House Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries overseeing them, they chose this guy and this message to broadcast. Really responding to the moment. Donald Trump hitting the big red button, like, what if we blew up everything for everyone for no reason? And they're like, well, we can see some value in tariffs, but, like, you know, but the kind that Biden did, or the kind that Trump did in his first term, which Biden did not revoke, despite widespread criticism from Democrats during Trump's first term. But we're, like, massive liars. So obviously we were, you know, we were kidding. But communist China, yeah, Jesus.
Chris DeLuzio here from Western Pennsylvania, proud son of the Rust Belt.
I don't care. Stop trying to represent Rust Belt workers. Why is it when everyone thinks of the working class, they think of Rust Belt workers? The working class, demographically speaking, is a young to Gen X service worker living in an urban area. Why do we keep Why is it when we say working class, everyone thinks of a white West Virginian or Pennsylvanian man who's like 52 years old or something, and they have like a pension? Why, like, why, like, listen, I'm not saying they don't exist. They do, but like numbers wise, there's a much larger demographic of working class people out there that we just pretend don't exist.
I think wrong for decades. Consensus in Washington on free trade's been a race to the bottom. It's hollowed out our industrial power, cost us good jobs. The president's tariff announcement, though, and his trade strategy has been chaotic. It's been inconsistent. We should not treat our economic allies, like Canada, the same as trade cheats like communist China.
Jesus. By the way, like, but you know, you realize what this is, right? This came out on April 4th. This is validating the tariffs on China. So all of the like trillions of dollars it's going to cost us in China to have these tariffs on them and vice versa and reciprocal, now Democrats are vouching for it. They literally, the House Democrats raced to the moment and they were like, I know, I have an idea. What if we like strongly implied that we agree with these massive world-altering tariffs on China for no reason that'll alienate our allies and force China to build better trade relations with South Korea and the EU and Japan?